Hi everyone, welcome to North Dakota Pulse, the show about our North Dakota legislative session. It's fresh, it's fetch, it's ready for you to learn about our session. And what we're going to learn tonight, we're going to focus on one bill, one exciting bill, a bill that rewrites how we understand obscenity. Sexy. Very sexy. And what bill is that, may you ask? You might ask, you might be wondering, you might already know, and if you do, why are you here? You are informed. Tell other people. Don't listen to me, but you should. You can. What are we going to talk about? We're going to talk about Senate Bill 2307. That is a bill introduced by Senator Baum. I'm not trying to be funny. I don't know how to pronounce it. It's Boehm, Senator Baum. And this is actually a repeat of a similar bill that we had seen in the 2023 session. There's been a laundry list of different bills looking at obscenity within North Dakota and trying to effectively ban a different kind of material associated with sex in some way. These on their surface might seem like good directions for your average person because you want to make sure that we aren't seeing really graphic content for our kids. The problem is we live in a society that has addressed this problem for over 50 years. That's longer than I've been alive. It's probably longer than you've been alive because you're using YouTube. Hi, friend. And what we figured out was, and the Supreme Court decided in 1972, I think this is accurate, the Miller test. And the Miller test was a test to establish if material basically was worth it. And that is to say that material is complicated, it's nuanced. You can't just look at a single thing and call it Puritan or obscene or something like that because standards are different across people. The intent is different. You have things that are beautiful artistic displays of nude people, which some people would consider obscene and gross. So what is the fair standard of our land is the idea of the Miller test, and also how we professionally make sure we are not showing graphic content to kids. I'm choosing my words carefully because YouTube algorithm, I don't want to say words that will make it seem like I'm talking about or endorsing the things that I'm talking about. So that's kind of why I'm trying to use words like this, but I think you know what I'm trying to talk about. The other thing to talk about within this is there are professional standards and regulations. Most books come with age restrictions to them, at least recommended age restrictions. In libraries, there are sections for kids and youth, young adults, and stuff like that. And there's things called library science, and librarians, it turns out, don't just wander into a library and become librarians. There's a very difficult process of becoming one that requires a lot of education. It makes sense. They're in control of information. We got to make sure they're responsible because knowledge is power and they are surrounded with knowledge. Librarians are incredibly powerful, which is actually why they're trying to be regulated. But that's the thing. Every layer of this, whether it be publishing magazines in a store, whether it be books on a shelf, the content that we give to youth, it's all very well monitored because we don't want to hurt kids. The idea that professionals have some nefarious goal to make kids see content that is extremely adult is based in conspiracy and then retrograded into some logical framework of the world that just does not exist. These bills have no substance or merit. So what are they actually trying to do? So Senate Bill 2307, specifically the turn of this bill, the magic trick of it is it kind of keeps the Miller test with one exception. The Miller test allows a wide understanding of what we would consider obscene. The North Dakota test is what does North Dakotans consider obscene? And the idea is it becomes a vibe test, that North Dakota as a whole is extremely Puritan to the point where if you see a lady's ankles, oh my gosh, how can you even concentrate? And if a child were to see ankles, the world could end. Innocence will die. So what is North Dakota's standard? Well, that's impossible to say. However, it puts it up to basically anyone's purview. Anyone who personally feels uncomfortable with any material can then challenge it and say it's obscene. This is insane censorship. Goes against our common sense and law of the land and everything. Like, we don't want this. And I don't want kids to see material that is not appropriate for them. I very much don't want that. I am on that side. I just trust that we are already preventing that, and this is an issue created from nothing. There are also, and this is important sexual development information that youth need to know about as they develop, because that's how that works. We go through puberty and changes to our body and different ways that we understand the world and ourselves. Developing sexuality is a normal process of growing up. Kids need access to understanding what they're going through. Puberty doesn't happen at 18. We need to be able able to educate kids on this and give them good material, because if we don't, they access it in worse places. And there's no way that you can moderate the entirety of the world. The more times we have access to age-appropriate, well-researched, educated material for our kids to read about, to understand themselves and feel less shame about their body, and have better education about what healthy sexual development looks like, the better our kids do. The problem is a lot of the people that are introducing bills like this don't have a background in education or sexual development or teaching it. They are farmers, they are politicians, they are people that I will say are probably honest within their heart and honest with what they want to do, but not well versed in reality of how we monitor and manage these things. So Senate Bill 2307 is one of the bills that does that. I think there might be a few others that kind of do it, similar to what we had in 2023. And some of them are ludicrous. They try to make librarians felons. In some ways, bills like this are misinformation inherently, because they spread what isn't a good assessment of our professionals or our systems or what's going on. They purport there's a problem when there's not. They make mountains out of anthills, and there's a lot of legislation like this. I think this responds to stories they hear, but they don't listen to our professionals or listen to how these things work. They plow ahead in the belief that these are problems that need fixing immediately, and often they're not. We have a ton of bills like this that are responses to what appears to be fantasy, stories concocted within echo chambers that aren't real. I don't know everything. I have my own biases. I've definitely repeated information uncritically, but one thing you'll see me do is always default to professionals, because I am wrong compared to them. I reached out to the Great Plains Food Bank about a bill around food security issues and asked them, this looks good, is it? And they said, no, actually there's this kind of thing that's not good about it. And then I changed my mind on if that bill was something I wanted to promote. I have my opinions and beliefs, but I'm not an expert in everything. I'm going to default to the dairy farmer about how cows work, and turns out you can't give them a bunch of caffeine. Shucks. I was hoping for caffeinated milk. Don't worry. I listen to doctors about how you provide medical care. When I think about trans medical care, it's because I listen to doctors and researchers, not because I listen to CNN or Fox News. When I think of libraries and how material is put out there, I listen to librarians. In some ways, we choose where we draw the line in the world and who we trust, and for me, it's going to be the people with experience. So I want to give you a heads up on that bill, but also just talk in broad concept about some of the bills that we see and why I don't think they're good governance, and why I wish that some of our policymakers would step back and just find out what's going on first. The last thing you need to know for tonight is that I will be going through all the bills to find out what's going to be heard tomorrow. I'll be sending out in a newsletter kind of mid-Friday about the bills and the hearings and all that kind of stuff, so you can stay tuned. The bill I just talked about, SB 2307, I just checked, it doesn't yet have a hearing, so I don't think it'll be heard next week, but probably the week after that. I think it has to be heard no matter what, sometime before February. Otherwise, tomorrow I'm going to be focusing on the good stuff. Yeah, great things. We are really doing a lot of good work in North Dakota. I want you to know that. A lot of awesome bills that I see in front of us that if they pass, I think move our state in a better direction. And that's the thing, is you always have to balance life with those good things, because if you just get so focused on the negative, it's hard to find motivation to even do anything. It can feel so overwhelming. We need some light to look to and move towards, or we can't move anywhere. So I'm going to show you the good stuff tomorrow, and then we're going to have some fun on Saturday. Thanks for tuning in, and yay democracy!